Hey, welcome everybody back to the West Georgia Gridiron Podcast. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. And we're week 10 of the wrap up. This is our Monday look back at Friday night's games. We only had 4 games to cover this week. We had several that were on bye week. This week we're featuring the Central Lion cheerleaders. And Mason, we want to start off this show before we get into the week's scores and breakdown of those games. There was some responses, some fan reactions, a couple of things. First of all was your week 10 predictions that we post up on Instagram and social media so people can respond back to. And I think Miss Tracy Burns, who's obviously a Central Lions fan, said that you got this one right, that you were spot on. They take it 49-17. You had them actually winning predicted to win 45-10. So that's pretty darn close. And I know you're going to get into that game here in just a bit. But another fan reaction to our Week 10 warm-up show, which is our Thursday show, looking at all the predictions and previews for the upcoming games. They were responding to the rivalries that we had posted or talked about at the beginning of that show, and some of the fans around the state saying which teams do they feel are the best rivalries or the games to attend and always look forward to. And of course, Gridiron Helmets 2267, who actually made your special Carrollton Trojans helmet. Appreciate that. Mini helmets. Back in the day, Ware County Gators versus Waycross Bulldogs always filled the 12,000-seat Waycross Memorial Stadium. And I think you said that those Waycross doesn't think they combined or something, right?
Yeah, Waycross and Ware County, like the mid-'90s, combined into Ware County.
12,000 seat. That's pretty impressive. And then Todd Loco says another thing in comparison between Cam Wood and Justin Brown. Cam has only played 2 full games this season. He's been out at halftime or third quarter in every game other than Rome and Gainesville.
Yeah, that is a really good note there. And obviously Cam, coming into week 10, had, in only 8 games, 90 carries for like 637 yards and 17 touchdowns, not to mention how him receiving the ball, that's just without those stats. And then, obviously when you take into account that, he hasn't played 8 full games, he's only played two full games out of 8. It's just all the more impressive. But I think the thing that's going to be interesting to see is by the end of the year how many yards Cam Wood will have. Because even through 8 games, he only has 90 carries, so he's been very limited this season, but he's been very productive. Obviously, after week 10, he has probably at least 20 rushing touchdowns now. So it'll be interesting to see what the tally is at the end of the season. But yeah, Cam Wood, one of the most impressive players I've seen in a while.
Well, Todd Loco, great observation. We're going to start off this week. Like I said, we've got 4 games to cover. Heard County was visiting Bremen Blue Devils.
Yeah, big rivalry game here. Heard County traveling up to Bremen, and I had Heard County winning this one 34-14, and I got the margin of victory right. Heard County did win this by 20 points, unfortunately for the Bremen Blue Devils, and they did not win this game, but it was a little bit more low scoring than I thought. Obviously, Heard County got probably one less touchdown, and Bremen one less touchdown. I'm pretty much spot on for this game. And last year, Bremen lost, and unfortunately, they wound up with the same result on Friday. For Heard County, this is not an unfortunate event, as they're now, I believe, 8-0 on the season. And but at the same time, coming into this game, Heard County was ranked 106th in the state. According to GPB Sports, I believe they were ranked number 3 in their class. It's either number 3 or number 4. And in Bremen, according to Max Preps, they were only 247th in the state. So 106 versus 247. So Bremen, by those rankings, didn't seem like they had much of a chance anyway. But this is now the second loss in a row for Bremen. It nudges their season record down to 4-4. They've now lost back-to-back games. Obviously, Heard County, and before that it was Peprel. For Heard County, again, like I said, they're 8-0 now. It's their 6th straight road win dating back to last season. But coming up this week, Bremen, they got a rivalry against Haralson County, and that'll be between the 3-seed Haralson County Rebels and currently the 4-seed Bremen Blue Devils. And then Haralson County, they're going to take on Model, who currently sits at the bottom of that region alongside Temple. But Bremen, I saw some of the stats. West Georgia Sports Nation, I believe, went to that game and posted some little bit of highlights from this game. And Heard County obviously didn't look very, very bad, but Bremen really didn't look that bad either. And from what I saw, I mean, obviously, I think Heard County is just better of a team. I'm not gonna say that they have better coaching per se, because I'm not too informed on that. But Heard County definitely has, I believe, more playmakers, more stars on that team, especially at the quarterback position. So Heard County definitely had an advantage coming into this game, and they proved it here because Heard County still on that collision course with Peprel for the region championship on Halloween.
Yep. And then East Coweta Indians came to visit Carrollton Trojans, and last year I think it was 63-10 victory for the Trojans. But tell us about this one.
Yeah, I had Carrollton getting this one 52-14, so by 38 points. They did win this one by 27, so I was only off by 11 points, and Carrollton almost scored exactly what I thought they would. So just defensively gave up a little bit more points than I had expected. But Carrollton doesn't matter. They extend their winning streak to 9-0. They blew past the Indians, and this result was nothing new for the Trojans. They've won 8 of their games by 22 points or more so far this season. So there's only been one game, that being the Rome game, where they didn't do that, which is extremely impressive. For East Coweta, they're now 1-7 on the season. Again, I believe they're probably the best 1-7 team in the state, just based on the schedule that they've had to play. And it's their 5th straight loss on the road, which dated back to last season for the Indians. So, while, again, this is another one when you look at the rankings, Carrollton's, 3rd in the state and 3rd in 6A, and then East Coweta, they came into this one 88th in the state, probably not even top 25 in 6A. So East Coweta, again, I don't think they had any anticipation in coming to Grisham and beating the Trojans. But even in this loss, junior quarterback Jax Bowles of East Coweta, he picked up 300 passing yards and a pair of passing touchdowns. And their running back / wide receiver, Ricky Howell Jr., he had 87 receiving yards and 1 score. And East Coweta, they had Sam Gritton, who looked really good, their receiver number 8. He had that drive where he scored was actually a pretty good drive by East Coweta. Then they had a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct by Carrollton, which set us back 15 yards on the kickoff. And then their 5-star Chance Gilbert ran it all the way back for a touchdown. That one, not good by the Trojans, but you can't shoot yourself in the foot with a penalty on the kickoff. And then later on in the game, Ricky Howell, just a really good play that took back for a touchdown. But even at the start of the game, East Coweta, they had an opportunity right over the top just on Sam Gritton. And if the quarterback connects on that, that's a touchdown for East Coweta. So East Coweta had some missed opportunities in this game. Carrollton, I love Carrollton. Didn't look too sharp in this game, to be honest with you, especially defensively against the pass. And Carrollton still looked really good in this game. Offensively, again, neither quarterback really impressed me in this game. I thought both of them had some bright moments, but I thought both of them also had some really bad spots as well. And just not the best game by really. This is probably one of the fall break, granted, and they're coming off of homecoming. So 2 weeks where it's been kind of distractions and not really locked in. But Carrollton, still put up 50 points, still had a really good game, but definitely one of those games where you're going to hope that you're glad that they have a week after this to clean everything up. Because it was kind of sloppy at times. At times it was sloppy, but defensively, Carrollton had 3 opportunities to get a pick, and they got one of them. And the other 2 were just dropped, or they almost had it. But Carrollton definitely going to be looking forward to their home, the support of their home crowd in their upcoming game. They do have, again, some time to savor this win, as their game's a little ways off. They'll be taking on Douglas County on the 31st, and as of right now, what will be the region championship. And again, Carrollton trying to get that 1 seed, and that would, at this point, most likely give them a meeting with a rematch of last year's state championship in the quarterfinals, either at Grayson or at Carrollton, and that depends on the coin flip. And then if Carrollton, let's say they do lose to Douglas County and get second in the region, well, then that sets up a a date potentially on the road against Buford in the quarterfinal and what would be a semifinal rematch from last year. So Carrollton, I don't want to be facetious and start looking ahead like Douglas County's not an opponent that we should be worried about or anything, but this was a good game by Carrollton. Carrollton definitely is going to need that week to not only get prepared, but also to rest up as they get up prepared to take on a really good Douglas County team. And East Coweta, again, not a very bad team. They have a lot of playmakers. They looked really good at sometimes, but just they're not a lot compared to the Carrollton Trojans.
Yeah, there was two either surprise plays that they scored on, either because Carrollton hadn't seen that look when they were looking at film, they didn't know how to prepare for it, or it was just blown coverages or some confusion there on the backfield. I think just that younger secondary possibly, but they had some speed, some athleticism for sure on a reception, and when I was actually a return kick, but then also a run. And so, wow,
and Carrollton did a great job blitzing. I mean, they blitzed probably the most we've seen them do all season long. And they did a really good job of that. They were constantly on Jack's Bowles, and there was multiple times, whether it was Jay Hagan coming off the edge as a safety, Keontae Kidd coming off and pressuring him as a linebacker, or whether it was the offensive lineman. The defensive lineman, they were doing a really good job of getting back there to the quarterback. And it's not easy when you have two tackles for East Coweta who are 6'6 plus, 300 plus, and going to Georgia Tech. So really good job defensively on that defensive line of getting pressure back there. And really, East Coweta didn't really have a run game either. It was mainly just all passing.
Yeah, shout out to my buddy Raz that sits near me every game, and some of the guys, John and the other guys sitting around me. Yeah, they all commented on those two big players they had on the offensive line, particularly.
Big old boys.
Yeah, big boys. And but so I think there was a late score by Coweta right there at the end with our secondary teams in. Right. So I can't really say that 23 points was, true. Obviously went against all of our starters, but more points than I thought they were going to put up for sure. And I think because of those two quick touchdowns early in the game. But then the second half, there was no problem.
And Carrollton still had a kickoff return touchdown as well.
Yeah.
A 99-yard one, actually, and it was Rontre Welch. He tied his school record. Yeah. So now he has the three longest kickoff return touchdowns in Carrollton Trojan history. And
Number
he's only
1, 2, and 3.
He's only, unless he had a birthday, he's only 15 years old. He's only a sophomore. Actually, he just got an offer by Delaware State, so congratulations to him. I don't know if that was his first offer, but it's the first one I've heard about for him. But, yeah, Carrollton, again, very good game for them. There were some not very good spots, but mainly I would probably say about 93% of this game was won by the Trojans, pretty much all Trojans, and you love to see it. And then also Cam Wood, almost, he had 3 rushing touchdowns. He earlier in the year against Gainesville tied the school single game record of rushing touchdowns with 4. There's been a lot of guys in the past that have scored 4 rushing touchdowns, so he's one of them. But he had 3, and if he would have, let's say he played the whole game, like we've talked about earlier in this episode, let's say he does play the whole game, well, he's definitely going to break that record, and he probably had multiple opportunities this whole season to break that record. So Cam Wood, again, another player that's incredible, just got offered this weekend by Anderson University, so another Trojan that's been offered. So again, Carrollton, really good game here, and pretty much exactly what I expected.
Yeah, I was able to talk with Eddie Wood, his dad, after the game, and he was thanking you, Mason, for covering all 9 teams in the Central West Georgia region for high schools, because there's some sports organizations here, broadcasting teams, that don't cover everybody, and there's a reason for that, because Carrollton has the Trojan Nation Network and other things, but he just likes to see that you give mention to all the teams and make a big deal out of everybody, and that's good, and there's equal opportunity for everybody to be able to have a showcase. But I was able to congratulate on these latest offers as well to Cam. So great kid. Just he is so grateful for the opportunity of what he's getting to do this season, and everybody that's trying to help with his future. And then there's Central Lions who took on Haralson County Tigers.
Yeah, I had Central winning this one 45-10. So again, only off by 7-point. Margin was only off by 7 points because they won it by 42. I had them winning by 35. And Central pretty much scoring, 4 more points than I expected, and they gave up 3 less. So, again, this is pretty much exactly what I expected of Central hitting the road for the second to last time to take on Harris County. They actually, in their last game 2 weeks ago, because they had a bye week, I believe, before this game, they took on Stars Mill and beat Stars Mill by the same exact score. So that's back-to-back games where they've beaten a team 49-7. And again, that's nothing new for Central this season. That's pretty much been a reflection of how they've done so far. And now they're 8-0 on the year. Harris County, they're on a 3-game losing streak. They're now 3-6 on the year. But we've got plenty of region action for the rest of the season. Central still has 2 more games. And next week I know we said earlier Jonesboro was going to be the region championship game, and I still stay with that statement. But Griffin beat Jonesboro this past Friday, which I talked. I don't know if I talked about it on here, but I remember I talked about it somewhere. Griffin taking on Jonesboro was a big game because if Griffin wins that game, Griffin is still in the region championship hunt, and that would set up a region championship between these two teams. And I believe Griffin beat them 24-15. It was a lot. It wasn't as close as Central when they played Jonesboro. Now I don't know what the reason was, if there was a reason, but Central Griffin at Griffin next week is going to be the region championship, and it's hard to believe because Griffin only won 1 game last year. Yeah, 1 game.
Right.
And now they're in a region championship with Central. So that'll be an interesting game. It's definitely going to be probably the biggest game of the year for Central so far, other than Jonesboro and maybe Oxford. But it's probably the most important one as of right now because this is actually for the region championship. And Central's got a lot to do to prepare for that game. And it'll be their last road game of the regular season, maybe of the whole season, depending on how the playoffs go. But again, talking about this game, I saw Lance and Simmons had a pretty big performance in this game, and I haven't gotten to look at the stats yet because I don't think they've been posted. But when you put up 49 points, obviously you did something right, and you only gave up 7. And Harris County, when you look at them, last year a lot of seniors were gone. A lot of seniors graduated. This Harris County team's not the same as last year. And Central, obviously, a very young team, a big group of juniors and sophomores from this team that have stepped up, and they're going to be important over the next 2 years. So I'm sure Jonas Walton had a big performance. I'm sure J.R. Harris had a big performance. But I did see that Lanson Simmons, the sophomore wide receiver, who's already got some big D1 interest from teams like Wake Forest and Nebraska. He's definitely – I heard he had a big game here, and obviously the scoreboard reflected that.
Yep. So because Carrollton has a bye week this week to get ready for Douglas County, which is always the most anticipated and well-attended game of the regular season for Carrollton. Because there's a bye week, we'll probably be at this game for Griffin. We'll be on the road. That should be a great, great game. So please, if you're a Central Alliance fan, go out. Or if you don't have a team to watch this week, you may want to think about getting on the road and watching that one, at least tuning in however you can. And then we've got Haralson County Rebels that took on Pepperell Dragons. And now the outcome came out like you predicted, but maybe not the score.
No, I definitely thought it was going to be more low scoring. I thought it was going to be 27-20 in favor of the Pepperell Dragons. Now the margin was correct. It was off by 1 point. This was a 6-point game by the end of it, but this was a shootout. Pepperell, obviously, as the score says right there, won 48-42. This is an extremely high scoring game. And you said you told me you listened to it on the radio, and that the officiating was a little questionable. I want to get your take on that.
Most questionable.
What about it, though?
What I was able to listen to at the end of the game on Gradic Sports, it sounded as though the referees were just basically letting the players dictate what was going on in the field. Seems like the commentators were agreeing that was happening all game. Things they should have been calling, they just weren't calling, and it just was a messy, messy game officiating. But there was some questionable things right at the end as well.
Well, I don't want to step on any toes, but I will anyway. Rome, every time we've played Rome, at Rome, officiating has always been questionable. And so maybe it's just that Rome area. Maybe it's Floyd County that just has questionable officiating all over the board or all across the board, because Pepperell's in that Rome area. I believe they're just south of Rome in Lindale. And again, it's just, questionable officiating. So maybe it's just that area that has really questionable officiating as a whole. I'm not sure. But I do know for Carrollton, every time we've gone up to Rome, there's been some questionable officiating in favor of Rome. And so obviously, I guess Haralson County they got their taste of that as well in this game. But again, Haralson County had they were flying high after that 20-point victory against Temple last week, and they were brought down back to earth by the Pepperell Dragons here. And Haralson County was up 14-7 at the end of the first quarter. So they did start the game off strong, even though this season they've been more of a team that hasn't been that way, and they're more of a second half team. But Haralson County, this defeat did end a 4-game streak of wins on the road for them, and it does bring their record down to 6-3 for Peprel. It's their 5th victory in a row, and it brings their record up to 6-3. So both these teams 6-3 now, as Peprel stays atop of the region. I guess you could say they're tied, but they do have one more region win than Heard County, so that statistically puts them at number 1. But Haralson County again next week will be at home against Bremen. And that's a pretty big matchup. Number 3 versus number 4 in the region. If Haralson County, let's say they were to lose, they would drop down probably to 4. Obviously, it depends on how everyone else in the region does as well. But this was an important game. Haralson County had a chance to beat Peprel, and they couldn't quite get it done. But I think for Heard County, because Peprel doesn't have another game this week, their last game will be on Halloween against Heard County. For Heard County, when you beat Haralson County 20-3, but then you see Haralson County only lose to Peprel by 6, that's got to give you some more confidence heading into that region championship game with Peprel, and I think it will. And I'm not going to give my comments on how I think that region championship game is going to go, but I think you can kind of get the gist of what I'm saying. Peprel, obviously, they're a good team. I don't know if they're quite the caliber of Heard County at this point in the season. I think Haralson County putting up a fight, not to try to put Haralson County down, but Haralson County definitely exposed Peprel a little bit in this game. And obviously it wasn't a 35-20 game like it was last year. Obviously Haralson County a lot better than they were last year, and they figured some things out. But again, officiating apparently in Pepperell's favor a little bit more, and maybe that's the reason they got another score. But Haralson County still not a bad loss here. Only 42-4, only a 6-point loss. Obviously, you want to get the win, but you're still 6-3 on the season. Have a chance to finish the season 7-3, which when you go 1-9 to potentially 7-3, that's a big drastic change. Yep. So I don't want to say congratulations because you don't want to congrats a loss, but not a bad performance here by the Rebels.
Yep. And then we want to make sure that you're aware that we're doing our state playoffs live podcast show. Thanks to Matt Skinner with Trojan Nation Network and 102.7. They were on the radio Friday night, and he promoted this game. He'll actually be there with Mason to be able to interview the coaching staff at Carrollton and any players that may be there for the playoffs. But we'll know here shortly who's going to make it in. And we've got some pretty good indicators, but we may have some surprises. So there'll be a special live episode recording in Team Spirit Night, Monday, November 3rd, 6:30 to 8 at Buffalo Wild Wings here in Carrollton. We are so grateful that they're going to be hosting this for us. So, Mason, out of these teams, what do you see as a prediction?
Well, obviously for Bowden, it's pretty easy sailing for the rest of the season. Only got 2 more games. As long as they win those 2, and they're taking on Greenville and Tryon, which aren't very good this year, they're going to have the 1 seed from their region. For Bremen, as of right now, they're the 4 seed in their region. Obviously, how they do against Haralson County this Friday is going to be extremely important. But if they were, as of right now, they're the 4 seed, so they would. Actually, they don't even do region for their so power rankings. They'll get in. Carrollton, obviously, as of right now, is the first in their region, so they'd have a 1 seed and would host round 1. Central is the 1 seed; they would host round 1. As of right now, Haralson County, currently 3rd in their region, would most likely get in. Probably be higher rated than Bremen, but probably just barely. Heard County, obviously, is probably top 5 in their class, so they would be highly rated in their playoff system. Mount Zion, as of right now, 2nd in their region, so they would host round 1 and probably be on the road round 2. Temple, currently 2nd to last in their region. They're tied with Model. Neither of them have a region win yet, so Temple probably not going to get in. If they do, they'll just barely get in at the 31 or 32 spot. And then Villa Rica, as of right now, they're 4th in their region, so they would be on the road in round 1. But again, however the rest of the season goes for each of these teams, a lot of these teams have still important games to play, whether it's a region championship or whether it's to decide how, if they're a 3 or 4 seed or whatnot. So a lot of these teams have a lot to do. But that's kind of where we're sitting at right now.
Yeah, well, we wanted to do our part to be able to showcase those teams and honor them for doing the hard work and performing to get in to the playoffs. So I think that'd be a great community event, and we'll kick off the state playoffs again with the bracket reveal by GHSA. Is that right, Mason?
Yep.
Okay. So the bracket reveal that afternoon, and then we'll be able to celebrate those teams that evening. And then always tune in on Thursday so you can get Mason's weekly pregame analysis, predictions, and more. Keep sending your comments. Please keep sending those shares. Share us on every page, every group that you're a part of on social media that may have something to do with high school sports and football here in the region. And then thank you again for all your nice comments at the games when you see us, and how it's impacting your day and your week to be able to follow along with us. It's fun. Well, Mason, as we always say, there's nothing like Football Fridays in West Georgia. We'll see again this coming Friday night that will be proven. There's nothing like it. And it's sad that we're getting towards the end of the regular season, but again, those playoffs will extend that for us. And then we'll see who comes out on top as reigning champions. Could be a four-peat for Bowden.
I do have one last shout out. I got to shout out Bradford Hadley, senior at Heard County, on his commitment to Sewanee. So congratulations, Bradford. Well deserved. I'm obviously very excited to see how your college journey, where it takes you and how it goes, but just extremely proud of you, and congrats on the commitment.
Yes, sir. Well, until we meet again on Thursday's show, everybody have a great week. Do something great for somebody. Think about somebody in your life that maybe you've been wanting to show appreciation, gratitude for, and make sure you make that happen until we see you again.